Today we're going to talk about how when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, right? We're going to talk about how a 15-year-old loses his life. We're going to get into that story and then we're going to discuss it. We're going to talk about it because I think it's something that we should talk about. If your son's on the wrong path thinking he's tough, this is probably the video for him. Let's get to it.
We start tonight in Polk County asking if gang violence is on the rise. You're watching 10 Tampa Bay. I'm Courtney Robinson.
And I'm Josh Sidorowicz. The murder of a 15-year-old, the sheriff said.
And we're told that last night, Quashawn was home with his mother and infant sibling playing games on his phone on the couch just like any other kid. His mom thought he'd gone to bed, but of course, we now know that Quashawn was on the side of the road in Winter Haven where he'd been shot and killed. The Polk County Sheriff's Office says the shooting happened before 2:30 in the morning on St. Paul Drive, just outside the city limits of Winter Haven. The sheriff's office says Burgess had gang affiliations and had been increasingly going down a bad path since May. Sheriff Grady Judd told us just moments ago he is confident this was gang violence.
We believe that the person that shot Quashawn Burgess was known by him.
A 15-year-old gang member would lay face down in a Winter Haven driveway at 2:30 a.m. on September 12, 2023. The concrete still hot from the Florida sun. Neighbors would say they thought they heard fireworks going off at 12:30 a.m., but cops would later find out those pops were not fireworks at all, but instruments of death for 15-year-old Quashawn Burgess. His mother would last see Quashawn on September 11th playing a video game while sitting on the couch as she headed to bed. But how did Quashawn die? Would it be at the hands of a female? Lila Gonzalez, who has already been convicted of a felony, wanted a gun, and she thought she could trust a kid from the neighborhood to get her one. She would hook up with Jace Gavia, the 23-year-old who was running a weed house across the street from her home. Jace has been no stranger to violence or crime and has spent time in prison. But rather than getting Lila a gun, he hollered at 20-year-old Rayshawn Harris. At 20 years old, Rayshawn was no stranger to the criminal justice system. He already had 53 felonies and 25 misdemeanor charges on his record. After a year of being in jail, he was back on the streets and had what Lila Gonzalez wanted, that gun. He had recently robbed someone's house and had a gun for $200. They would meet at a Circle K and make the exchange. But $200 wasn't shit in the street. And Rayshawn started plotting on how he could get more out of the chick. And then the plot began. Harris was going to take whatever he could get from Lila. After all, she was a chick, and to him, more vulnerable than a man. Rayshawn planned on robbing his newly acquired customer. He would call her and tell her that he had some bullets to sell her. Lila thought it was a strange request, but decided to shoot Rayshawn her address, and the two would meet up. He would put in the call to his little homie Quashawn Burgess and put him up on the jukes. Some would say Quashawn only wanted to get some weed from the weed house across the street, but the streets say they were plotting on the robbery. Together, they would plot while driving to Lila's house, never knowing what their future would really hold. Premature death in the streets, and possibly life in prison. But no one ever thinks about the consequences. They only think of the petty rewards. Quashawn would jump out of the passenger side of the car and head to the weed house. Harris would let his sexual desire take over as the two discussed sex and bullets, both him and Lila. But eventually Rayshawn would get back on track to the task at hand, getting that gun back and whatever else Lila had to offer. Lila would later tell the cops that she felt like things were not right and she had decided to get out of the car. And at that moment, she made that choice. She felt the door open and he was there. The 15-year-old would struggle with her. Quashawn would try to pull her purse off of her. With her heart beating, it wouldn't be long before she felt the cold metal fit into her hand on that hot Florida night, and she would pull the trigger. Lila would jump over the dying body of the 15-year-old and run into her house. Rayshawn would speed off into the night, leaving behind his accomplice in the failed robbery, caring less if he lived or died, his friend. It would not take long before the cops would show up, and like First 48, people would talk. Lila would be first. Not wanting to go to jail, she would tell the investigators what had happened. She would lay out how she connected with the weed man and how he would plug her in with Rayshawn. She outlined the conversations in the car and how she fired in self-defense after becoming a victim. Once the cops were done with the First 48 interview, they would charge Lila Gonzalez with possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, dealing in stolen property, tampering with evidence, grand theft of a firearm, possession of cocaine, possession of marijuana with intent to sell, maintaining a residence where controlled substances are illegally kept, and possession of paraphernalia. Rayshawn, in an attempt to get out of the deadly web that he had built, would attempt to argue that he was no way involved and that he had no idea his little partner was going to rob his customer. But the sheriff, after his conversations with Rayshawn, would charge him with the murder, attempted armed robbery, conspiracy to commit armed robbery, dealing in stolen property, grand theft of a firearm, tampering with evidence, unlawful use of a two-way communication device, giving false info to law enforcement during a capital felony investigation, and contributing to the delinquency of a minor in violation of probation. Chase, doing what the streets do and sending old girl to someone he knew that might have what she wanted, was also jammed up. Cops would charge him in what could be viewed as petty crimes, but would ultimately shut down his source of income, that weed house. His older cousin Pierre Savoir, who got the weed house rocking, was also arrested and charged with maintaining a residence where controlled substances are illegally kept, giving false info to law enforcement officers during a capital felony investigation, possession of weed over 20 grams, and possession of paraphernalia. You know what they say, you live by the gun, die by the gun, even 15-year-olds. 15 years old, this man's laying down on the concrete, gets shot, him and his man are plotting on this chick, she fires at him. His life is over. He's laying on the concrete. Where does his man go? He takes off. This 15-year-old kid was doing what 15-year-old kids are supposed to be doing, right? Not robbing. I'm talking about when he was sitting on the couch. He's over there playing video games. His mom says, hey, listen, about to go to bed. I love you. I'll see you in the morning, Quayshawn. Quayshawn's like, all right, Mom, I love you too. Mother goes to bed. He's 15 years old. He's sitting there playing video games. He gets that phone call from the 20-year-old. Yo, what up? Yo, what's good, man? Yo, you know what it is? I got a jux. Oh, yeah? Then he starts to lay it down. Yo, I sold this girl this gun, but she's got a couple dollars. She's over there hustling. Yo, we could go ahead and get her. This is what it is. Old boy swings through, picks him up, about midnight? He picks him up about midnight. They don't find him for a couple hours after he's killed when someone pulls in the driveway and they see, oh, shit, there's a body in the driveway. But this is what 15-year-olds are doing, man. And this is what you need to think about. You know, if your son is on the wrong path, sit him down, because I'm talking to you. You're the 15-year-old that I'm talking to right now. Nobody ever thinks about the consequences. In their minds, what are they thinking? Oh, this is a chick, man. We're good. About to get everything she's got. Don't matter. She ain't shit, right? Thinking she's soft. It isn't that what the sheriff talks about. Oh, they must have forgot they sold her a gun. Man, they ain't forget that they sold her a gun. He's being sarcastic. Old boy knew he sold her a gun, but he thought he was going to be able to get her. They want to take that gun, whatever money she's got. Based on the charges, it's obviously she was hustling. So what did she need a gun for? She was probably hustling. Charged with possession of cocaine, possession of weed with intent to distribute. The 30-year-old's over there getting a couple dollars like, yo, I need some firepower now. And now guess what? Life's over with, right? They don't charge her with a murder. And that's the other part that you young men need to listen to. Listen to this part. Old boy didn't kill him. But Rayshawn didn't kill Quayshawn, right? Rayshawn was just part of the jokes. He just put him up on it. Yo, we're going to do this together. They don't charge the girl with murder because she fired what? In self-defense. They give her a bunch of other charges, though, which her ass going to prison for. She might get out when she's 40, 45. They charge her federally. That's a possibility. They can charge her with a 924C, charge her with a 922G, felon in possession of a firearm, depending on her prior record. If she's a career offender, her mandatory minimum is 15 years. So she might be getting out when she's 45. These are the things that you don't know, the things that you should think about. They could charge her with a 924C, possession of a firearm or furtherance of a drug trafficking crime. That's 5 years to life. What? They only give out 5? No, I've seen people get life with a 924C. Those are the things that you should be thinking about. She's jammed up. She's going to prison. Old boy's sitting down there on a capital murder charge, according to the police report and the charging documents. Life at 20 years old. Think about that. Life at 20 years old. Everything that matters no longer matters. These are the things that are going on in the street, man. You're going over here to do a petty-ass crime. And now he's going to end up with a boatload of time, if not life. She's going to prison. The other two dudes running the weed house, they probably ain't looking at too much. But what they really got is they got the police's eyes on them now. So how you going to get out and hustle? What are you going to do? You going to get out and go get a job? Because the hustle's probably over with. They're on you. I mean, you're not their top priority, but they know who you are. The weed house is shut down. Your ass is in jail. And that's what happens in the streets, right? Someone comes through, like, yo, man, can you plug me in? Oh, yeah, hold on, let me call my boy, man. I know he's got it. This kid plugged him in. And he's never thinking, yo, old boy's gonna probably go back and try to rob her after she buys the gun from him. Deal's done, right? Everything's good. It's over with. But the only thing that's really over with is what? Quayshawn's life. Rayshawn's life. Lila Gonzalez, she's going to get some time. We'll do an update. How much time is she going to get is the real question. Is she going to testify on Rayshawn? No, man, they're in the street, man. They ain't going to tell on nobody, man. They're living that street life. Shit, as soon as they get them down there, what do you think people are doing? There's no honor among thieves, right? What does that mean? Think about that. No honor among thieves. Sold her a gun, tries to rob her. They get down there. He starts telling, yeah, I seen her shoot him, but he tried to rob. Now he's acting like he's on her side. Like, yo, I was just kicking it with her, trying to, do that hanky-panky, do that funky monkey with her. I ain't no old boy was going to rob her. Yeah, all right. That's not what the circumstances say. They're hit, man. They're hit. Life is over, forever gone. Going out to the club, hanging out with the homies, driving around, stopping at the store, meeting chicks, maybe changing your life, someday getting married, having kids. Shit's all over with, man. The script's already written. It was wrote on September 12th for those people. Blood on the Razor Wire TV. I hope this is a learning experience. With respect, until tomorrow, we're out.